Engaging celebrity interviews. Exciting updates from Christian filmmakers. Movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely. And so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Faith on Film. It's the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, I'm talking about Christmas. And one of the things that makes it wonderful, well, at least to me it does, are all the Christmas movies that come out during this time. I love Christmas movies. And today, we'll be talking about a new one brought to you by none other than the creator of the Chosen series, Dallas Jenkins, and producer Kevin Downes. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever is based on a book by the same name, published in 1972, and is a wonderful movie for the entire family. Now, Holly will be interviewing not only Dallas Jenkins and Kevin Downes, but also the star of the movie, Pete Holmes. You don't want to miss this great interview. After that, I will be talking to the director of another very inspirational movie, Andrew Kightlinger. Now, based on the book by the same name, Lost on a Mountain in Maine tells the inspiring true story of a 12-year-old boy who, separated from his family by a fast-moving storm, must fight to stay alive during his 9-day adventure lost in the backwoods of Maine. 3 great interviews for you on today's show. But first, let's start with a trailer to the best Christmas pageant ever.
Everyone.
For as long as I can remember, our little town has loved Christmas. And nothing is more important than our annual Christmas pageant.
The pageant is sacred.
Special mention to Grace for volunteering to direct the pageant.
But this year, the Herdmans changed everything.
Now. The Herdmans are absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world. Hey!
Give it up, Charlie!
You ready for this? You gonna be in your Bible play. This is gonna be a real disaster.
That's the spirit. Would anyone like to volunteer for Mary and Joseph?
Who's Mary? Baby Jesus' mom?
Elmer, you usually like playing Joseph. Suppose that's that then.
The Herdmans shouldn't be here.
They're a poor influence.
It might be the first Christmas pageant in history where Joseph and the wise men get in a fight, and Mary hightails it with the baby.
$5 say they burned down the manger.
This year, we get to be someone else, live a different life, become someone new.
Why are they still here?
Jesus was born for the Herdmans as much as he was for us. We'll be missing the whole point now if we turn them away.
I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Because Mary and Joseph weren't so sure either.
She's crying. Mary's crying.
It's going to be the best Christmas pageant ever. Today we're going to ignore everything except blood.
Oh, what? Come on!
Now that's a pageant I'd actually like to see.
How are you guys?
Good to see you, Holly. How are you?
Good to see you too. Busy as ever. I'm doing great. Thank you. Well, it's exciting to be able to interview both of you at the same time about this amazing film. Loved it, of course. Dallas, you said you had the rights to this for a while, but it didn't happen right away. But God's timing is so perfect. Tell why now was the time for this film.
Yeah, I've pursued the rights for a long time. I haven't had them for a while. In fact, the moment I got them a few years ago, I was talking to Kevin, like, we got to get this done quickly because this has been a long time coming. But I'm actually holding in my hands now. This is the actual copy of the book that my wife brought home 20 years ago to read to our kids. I've even got notes written in it for if I ever got a chance to make it as a movie. And I was reading it to my kids, and I'm a few chapters in, and I'm laughing because it's very witty, it's very well written, and I'm appreciating the nostalgia of it. I get to the last chapter, and I am crying so hard I can't see the words through my tears. And my wife, Amanda's like, all right, give me the book. Let me read. She starts reading. She's crying. She hands it back to me. We just take turns trying to get through this last chapter because the story and the message of it are so beautiful. What really stuck out to me about it was these 6 herdman kids are known as the worst kids in the history of the world. They're in poverty. They're outsiders. And yet after they hijack the Christmas pageant, their outsider perspective, their poverty perspective actually brings them closer to the truth of the story than everyone else. And so I just closed the book and I said, I have to make this movie. The Christmas of it, the kids of it, the message, the fact that the book has been read in public schools for 50 years, even though it's such a strong Jesus story. Like, this is the perfect movie that can appeal to everybody, even though it's got an explicit Jesus message in it. And I said, I was born to make this. So I was chasing the rights for 15 years.
Wow.
Getting told no because other studios had it or another big time director had it. And it wasn't until The Chosen came out, started to have some success, combined with the fact that no one else could get it made, that the rights holders said, you know what, you're the guy. And so even the fact that I'm able to talk to you, Holly, I've known you for a long time.
Yes.
And for most of the time that I've known you, you might not have known this, but I've been wanting to make this movie and be able to say to you, I made the best Christmas pageant ever. A movie with that title is coming out to the world, and I made it is a calling fulfilled for sure.
It is a calling fulfilled. And I'm so happy to see that you got to do it. You know, Kevin, you said that your kids love this and you kind of base things on what your kids love and that you feel it's a timeless story. Why is this a timeless Christmas classic? I think people will watch for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, this book's been around my house for the last decade or so. It's one of my wife and my kids' favorite book together. I mean, they read it around the holidays. I mean, while we were doing other films on film sets, she's homeschooling them, and this book's coming up. So when I announced to them that, hey, Dad's doing the best Christmas pageant ever, actually one of them goes, as a movie? Like, they just didn't believe it. They thought it was ridiculous, and or they thought I was joking. Like, I wasn't important enough to actually make that into a film, no joke. And so it is significant because I think the story itself is significant to families. Since we've been in production with this, I've realized so many people how important this book, this story, it's a stage play, as you probably know, it means to families. And so that's a lot of pressure to be able to make sure that the movie elevates beyond the book. But you know, this guy's not too bad. And I think we did a pretty good job in doing that. So it's been a long time coming, like Dallas said, and I can't wait for audiences to see it.
I've got a little bit of experience handling books that mean a lot to people and then trying to translate them. So I got my feet wet with the Bible.
And your experience with kids.
Yeah.
So it was something that you felt you could connect. You have an adoptive son, and this is something you felt you could connect with on a different level. Talk about that connection, because this goes just beyond the play and the kids and the good kids and the bullies. It really has a lot of levels of deeper meaning.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I love about it is on the surface, people see the trailer and they see the marketing, they see the book, they go, this is a fun Christmas classic.
Right.
We'll take the family to go see it. Well, there is a lot beneath the surface. And not only one of the key themes of the movie of just the true story of Christmas, the heart of the story, Jesus coming as a humble servant as opposed to a conquering king, us being reminded that the true story of Christmas isn't the precious little nativity scene that we always think of, but that it was scary and that Jesus came as this humble servant. His parents were overwhelmed and didn't know, they were outsiders, refugees in many ways. But also there's this feeling, the spirit in the movie of, okay, well, and now what? If you believe that in the Christ child, if you believe in the true meaning of Christmas, how are you going to live that out? How are you going to be the hands and feet of Jesus? And this movie is a love letter to those people, the moms who volunteer at the church, the pastor of the church who recognizes that how we treat children, the least of these, is how we're going to think of Jesus. And a lot of those things really resonate, and they resonated for me in the book. And so far in our screenings, we're seeing people go, okay, I get it. Christmas and all year round is a time for us to, for the church especially, to really do our job of being the hands and feet of Jesus.
Absolutely.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, how are you, Pete?
I'm doing really well.
Good to see you. I am excited about this movie. What a great family story, but also for all ages and for everyone, right?
I agree. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful message and it's a lot of fun. And for me, as a big fan of Christmas movies, I'm thrilled to be in one that I can watch with my 6-year-old daughter, and I know my wife will enjoy as well.
And why were you perfect for the role of Bob the dad?
Oh, Holly, please.
Come on, you got chosen, I'm sure, out of a lot of people. So
I got chosen by Dallas Jenkins.
The Chosen.
You know, Dallas is a big comedy fan. He's a very funny guy, and we love talking about comedy a lot. So that helped me understand why he picked me for it. I also am a dad who loves Christmas. This wasn't really like a lot of heavy lifting for me. My wife is also funny. Judy is obviously hilarious. So it was nice to play that part of the sort of the calm center of the storm. All these strange things are happening, and the dad is there cracking jokes, letting you know that don't take any of this too seriously. That's good dad work right there.
That's good dad work. Now, you had a confession. You said that you weren't familiar with the book, but that when you read it, you actually really cried, and you're not just saying that to promote the movie. You really did cry.
No, I don't. I'm not going to make that joke. See, sometimes I have restraint. I am not just saying that to promote the movie. I didn't know the story. I hadn't read the book. We were more of a hop on pop household. And when it came time to read the script, I did cry at the moment that you would imagine. Having seen the movie, it's a big finish, which is very emotional and has those, undertones of redemption and inclusion and love. And it's very like these kids that are kind of thought to be other and outside of the fold are revealed to be what they truly are, which is something that should be celebrated and loved. And that's always going to be moving.
You had made an interesting comment, I thought, when I was reading the notes. You said there's an idea about turning God, who's the popular idea of being the in group, basically, all good people, which of course you said in a funnier way. But the story really is about everybody, including everybody, and having compassion and understanding. Talk about that a little bit, because I think people think of this as, it's a lighthearted Christmas story, funny, which it is, but it's got definitely a message to it about inclusion.
Well, absolutely. And that is what the human brain does, right? Is we break things into light, dark, good, bad, in, out, with us, against us. And I think the feeling about the gospel is it's like, look past that. Mm-hmm. Dallas and I would talk about when Jesus said, what you do for the least of these, you do for me. Well, in that message is, wake up. It's all us. It's all us. And that is a very lovely and touching thing. And you find that throughout the Bible and all sorts of traditions that are very sweet and moving to me.
You said your favorite part was the set decorations, because you love that. This is a warm, fuzzy, feel-good Christmas movie with all the added things of kind of nostalgia, what it used to be 10, 20 years.
For sure. Yeah, for me, it's almost a nostalgia for a nostalgia. Like my aunt's house at Christmas, there was a fireplace in the tree, so it reminded me most of that. But this even takes it one click further to that like almost impossible Christmas standard, where the hearth is just impeccable and the stockings are, stuffed just right. But I was like, those stores that only sell Christmas decorations, and how fun it is to go in them. Sometimes they have year-round ones. It's like, and you can go in. I always love it. I love the Christmas aesthetic. I love the feel. Yeah. And I told Dallas, I was like, you could have charged people to just spend 20 minutes in that room, which played our house, because it was the most Christmassy place.
Okay, last question. Favorite scene now that you've seen the movie, whether you're in it or not, which scene do you love?
I don't care for the film. So I would say the credits. When it's over, that's when I go, oh, whew. Let's go get a Cinnabon. I'm more of a eater than a watcher. I'm just kidding. I really.
You better be kidding.
Of course I'm kidding. When you watch a movie that you're in, what's happening, and what a privileged and fun position, you're loving a scene, but you're also loving the memory of making the scene.
Yes.
So there's the moment where Judy and I are sitting on the porch and we're having this heart to heart, and she's deciding to do it, and I'm deciding that, I'm agreeing with her that that's a good thing to do. And Molly is in that scene, who plays our daughter. And it was so cold, but it was just so real. And our breath is leaving our face. And you saw the real Christmas lights on the street, not the set. And it just felt very, very Christmassy. For someone who lives in California, that was my favorite moment.
And the closest you're going to get to snow at Christmas. Thank you, Pete, so much for joining us. Thank you for being in the movie. We loved it.
I'm so glad. Thanks for helping us get the word out.
Absolutely. God bless.
The best Christmas pageant ever, in theaters November 8th. You don't want to miss this great and very, very funny Christmas movie. Thank you, Holly, for a great interview. Next is my interview with director Andrew Kightlinger. Now, Andrew was born and raised in Madagascar, the son of missionaries, and later living in South Dakota. His mixed background continues to feed a prolific instinct for storytelling and exploring family and the human condition. His second feature, Lost on a Mountain in Maine, produced by Sylvester Stallone, is in theaters now. Let's take a look at the trailer and then on to Andrew, who apparently was hired after doing one of the most unique auditions. Can't wait to hear what that's all about.
This hike, it's no picnic. Treacherous terrain, takes a whole day.
Sure, some crumbling old mountains that are fishing for 2 weeks sounds just swell.
Well, you don't have to go. The world is not going to give them a break. Neither should I. There she is, Mount Katahdin.
We're gonna hike that?
Sure, you're almost men now. Don, slow down.
You want us to be men? Then let us be men. We don't need you. We're going to the top.
We need to stick together! I can't find the trail! God!
Where's Don?
I don't know. Where's your brother?
There's 100,000 acres of wilderness out there. So damn focused. I'm trying to make him tough. I forgot to be his dad. Just hope to God we get one more chance.
We need volunteers. As many as you can send.
Hey! I'm over here!
Do you think our son is dead?
I always told him, when things get tough, press on.
Your brother is really stubborn.
Yes!
Press on.
Andrew, welcome to Faith on Film.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you on to talk all about this great movie that you've directed and sharing it with our viewers. Now, we did just take a look at the trailer, which is, I mean, it's amazing. I can tell somebody mentioned that the cinematography on this thing was great, and we can see it just by the trailer alone. But if you can give us sort of an overview of what the story itself is all about.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible true story. That's the best part about it. It's set in 1939, and it's about a 12-year-old boy that gets lost in the wilderness in northern Maine, and he has to trek over 100 miles, around 100 miles over 10 days, and brave the elements. And the movie chronicles his struggle and also intercuts with his mom and dad mounting up a search effort to desperately try and find him.
Wow. So tell me something. What drew you to this movie? I mean, what made you go, man, I've got to direct this movie?
I mean, other than the fact that Sylvester Stallone produced it, I mean, that was a big factor. That was a big one. He's like an idol. But no, seriously, there's something really simple about the message of this movie. It's about family. It's about community. It's about faith. And there's a lot of noise in the world right now, and I felt it was necessary to just make a movie about those simple core values. And we also just don't get movies like this anymore. So I just saw an opportunity to give audiences an escape and also make something that was PG, that everybody could go see, kids and grandparents.
So now you just mentioned, of course, that the producer is Sylvester Stallone. How did you get this part? How did you become the director of this movie? I mean, are you friends with Sylvester? What's up with this?
No, God, no. I wish that would have been a fun life. No, so obviously the project came to them because Sly, if I can call him that, Sly was looking for an underdog story about a kid. You know, he loves to tell stories about perseverance. You know, what's Rocky if not that? And I think they were also looking for a director who kind of came from the outsider, you know, kind of an outsider, an underdog itself. So I interviewed over the course of 3 months, just kind of boring corporate interviews. But that final interview culminated with me being flown out to northern Maine and having to hike the titular mountain, which is known, Mount Katahdin is known as the hardest non-technical day hike in America. And it is straight up for an entire mile with no switchbacks. It's like doing the stair stepper for 6 hours straight. So that was my final interview. And literally 2 days after I crested the peak, I got my deal memo. So that's how I got the job.
Okay. So have you ever mountain climbed before, or was this your first time?
Yeah, I was in the Scouts when I was in high school, and I'm also a long distance runner, so I do like 50Ks and I do kind of crazy stuff like that. So I had the endurance, but I will tell you, both times I've hiked this, I also hiked it to film up there. We filmed up there as well for the movie. Those are the two most physically arduous things I've ever done in my life. Like, it kills you. Like, don't go up there in sneakers. It's tough.
So what would you say maybe was your toughest scene to film?
I think the mountain stuff itself. The kid, obviously, he gets lost during a storm in the middle of in the movie. And obviously, we couldn't actually film with kids on top of the mountain in a real storm. That would be crazy and unsafe. So we did climb the mountain with a camera and shoot in a storm, but the children are not there for that. Wow. So what we had to do is we actually had to build the mountain from scratch. And so we built the mountain on a sound stage, and we built an 80-foot by 80-foot replica of the peak of the mountain. And we had painters who were lichen experts who came in and painted the lichen, exactly how it would be. And then we surrounded the mountain with giant fans and rain and fog, and just pummeled these kids for 3 days. And they had a great time. It was like summer camp for them. But that was tough. That was a really complicated thing to do.
Wow. So you mentioned faith a little while ago. And I know, I've read that you actually were born and raised in Madagascar to missionary parents. Does your faith history, your faith journey, your faith experiences, did they play any influence in how you handled this project, how you directed the movie, how you handled some scenes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think every project I've done has had some sort of faith involved in it. I was a Lutheran missionary, so my parents were Lutherans, and I also went to college at a Lutheran college. I was in a 72-person Norwegian Lutheran choir. So faith has been a big part of my life, and I've been on ups and downs with it. I lost my mother when I was 21. I had a faith crisis then, and I've been working through it ever since. And this movie is filled with that stuff. I mean, it's a father-son tale at its core. So there's definitely a Father, Son, and Holy Spirit aspect to it, because the Spirit is the mountain is itself kind of the Holy Ghost in this movie. But I also, faith movies are complicated sometimes, and my goal was to make something that was universal, that I didn't want to preach to anybody. I wanted anybody to see it and to be able to access this idea that if you believe in something higher than yourself, God, for example, you can persevere and you can find hope. So I think my missionary background, I obviously grew up with a lot of Christians, but also a lot of Muslims and whatnot. And I think I saw that faith can be very universal, no matter what God you believe in, right? It's all the same God. So that's kind of what this movie's hitting on in a way, kind of just under the surface. Or it's pretty overt, actually. People should see it. They'll see what I'm going for.
And they definitely need to see it, because it looks like a great movie. Now, you just shared with us what your toughest scene was. What about your favorite scene? Was there a scene in there that just really touched you? Not just favorite because it was a fun scene to shoot, but is there anything that really captured you emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, this movie is about parents and children trying to connect at its core. I always told the crew this is a movie about a kid that just wants a hug from his father. And the scene that touched me the most is actually a scene with the mother. And we talk about faith. They use the parent and the child kind of connect cosmically in this movie through their faith without words. So the mother's at home worrying about her son, and the son is lost in the wilderness. And there's this really beautiful moment. I don't want to spoil too much, but you'll know it when you see it, where the mother and the son just have this connection. And I think it's really poetic, and it kind of speaks to that belief in that there's something else out there linking us.
Well, So tell me, is there anything in the future for you already? Are you already looking at other projects? What's ahead for you?
I've written a few projects, and and I've also fielded a couple offers and things. So I am, my goal is to keep making bigger movies. This is my first kind of multi-million-dollar project, and we will see where that takes me. But I'm kind of enjoying the ride of this movie coming out. This is my first time with a nationwide release in theaters, and so I'm kind of just enjoying it.
Well, that's wonderful. And of course, having Sylvester Stallone be the producer kind of helps, doesn't it?
It helps. It definitely helps.
So listen, one thing that I really like to make sure that maybe our viewers know is how they can follow you personally, because if they can connect with you, then they'll want to know anything that you're doing. So rather than just promote the movie itself, which of course is a wonderful thing, but is there a way that they can follow you personally?
Instagram, that's where everything happens for me. And I'm at andrew.vhs. So andrew.vhs, very easy to find. And, you'll be able to follow my exploits there. And this movie's kind of released. So.
All right. So the movie releases, again, the name of it is Lost on a Mountain in Maine. And it releases this November 1st, correct?
Yep, Friday, November
1st. Now, some of you are going to be watching this program weeks or even months or maybe even years after this, because this program stays on demand for years to come. So if it's already past that theater time, although I'm telling you, if you catch it before that, get to that theater. But if not, look for it, because I'm sure it'll be streaming somewhere. I don't know if you guys have any streaming deals yet, but
it'll be on Angel Studios streaming platform.
Oh.
Yeah,
well, awesome.
And it'll also be on demand sometime by the end of the year.
All right. Well, again, folks, if you don't get to go to the theater because you saw this program beyond the theater date, then definitely look for it and watch it on streaming. Thank you so much, man, for not only creating such a wonderful movie, but joining us today here to tell us all about it.
Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Good. Lost on a Mountain in Maine, in theaters now and later streaming on the Angel Studio streaming platform. For more information, go to their website, lostonamountaininmainemovie.com. That's lostonamountaininmainemovie.com. That is a long URL, isn't it? And then there's always The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which is in theaters November 8th. Again, you don't want to miss this great and very, very funny Christmas movie. For more information, go to their website, bestchristmaspageantever.movie. That's bestchristmaspageantever.movie. And of course, I want to invite you to go to our website as well. Check out our website, faithonfilmtv.com. That's faithonfilmtv.com. And while you're there, by the way, if you want to help us out and become a partner, there's a page there that you'll see where it will give you more information on how you can become a partner of Faith on Film TV. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's interviews. We've got some more great interviews coming up in the next several weeks as this year comes to an end. So we look forward to seeing you once again here on Faith on Film.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.